How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another. James, I looked at you this time because the comments have been telling me that you can't hold it in every time I do my intro.
I want to address this. Actually, I want to address this. Right, it's because normally Lee Judges is talking some hot bollocks before we start the podcast, and I'm still laughing going into it. So everyone thinks that I can't hack your intros. But I'm normally just laughing whatever Lee said 2 minutes earlier. But your intros are hilarious, so please carry on.
Lee, you all right over there, yeah?
Oh, I'm very good, I don't know a lot about all this talking bollocks part, but there you go, so.
I'm with James.
Yeah.
Cheers. Right, that's the last time I'll do any favours for you, I'll tell you that.
I don't think he's ever
let's get to the comments.
Well, actually, yeah, you know what? Let's do it. Turkish, do you mind if I just kind of have my right to reply before? Let's get straight into it. Because I'm not happy. Because we seem to have a fan base, and I refuse to believe they're Arsenal fans because they're not that thick. They're Spurs or United fans. We've got some foolish people. Here we go. That don't listen. Listen. Right. For those that missed the last podcast, we had a chat about our team, players we needed. James mentioned Zinchenko, who's been brought in. And I think it's fair to say that James, of the four of us, is the most enthusiastic about that signing, right? Okay.
World-class player.
Right. So the first thing I want to address is I never once said that Zinchenko is not a good player. In fact, I think I said I actually really like him. I think he's a very good player. So that's the first thing. I did say he's a good player. Second thing, James mentioned that he's technically a very good player. I challenged that, gave my opinion and said, James actually said that he was one of the most technically gifted players in the Manchester City team. So I challenged that.
Walker, yes.
Yeah, so I challenged that and said, I could probably name at least 3 players who technically are more gifted than him. I mentioned Edison. Now, people laugh their head off. Oh, goalkeeper, how can he be a goalkeeper? I watched Edison before he came to England. That guy can play ball. I'll go further. I put Edison in probably half the Premier League team's midfield. That's how good a baller I think he is. He can kick ball. Again, I'm not saying that Zinchenko is not technically gifted. I'm just saying there are other players who are more gifted than him. The third and final point is, I said he doesn't elevate our 11 sharply. I said he elevates our squad. That's it. You can disagree. That's fine. But for me, everybody's fit. He doesn't start. James made the rightful point that at fullback, he offers something different to Tierney, which I concede he does. But for me, if everyone's fit, I'm still picking Tierney. So if all the Muppets in the comments try to come for me and think I care what they say, I really couldn't give a damn.
Yeah, you're really coming across as one who doesn't care.
You care. I can guarantee you care. You care.
Just listen to what I said. That's all I ask. If you're going to come for me, let's go. But at least come for me with the things that I actually said rather than the things I didn't say. I defer.
Well, I'm not sure you've done yourself any favors.
That made it worse.
What did Turkish say?
I'm not sure you've done himself any favors there, but
I just want to clarify what I said. That's
calling
all.
the fan page Muppets. You know what I mean? If I recall it, I don't think one of those Muppets said that he's the best player in the midfield. I'd say we need a midfield player. Maybe we should be backing on the old Pepe again.
Edison box to box, steaming in at the back post.
I'm telling you, I rate him. I stand by it.
Well, we know that, like, you know what I mean. We don't know if you actually rate him as a goalkeeper, but you certainly rate him as a player.
Brilliant goalkeeper.
I think the point is, it's not about the difference of opinions. It's probably the way they come at you and what they're coming at you for.
I don't mind them coming for me. Disagree with me. Tell me I'm chatting shit. I don't mind that.
Yeah.
But at least tell me I'm chatting shit for what I actually said. That's what I'm saying.
It's not often.
I mean,
It's not often I'm on a video or a piece of content where there's a lot of comments about negativity and who does this guy think he is, and it isn't about me. So this is quite refreshing for me. I can't lie.
This guy's a muppet. Get him off the podcast. He doesn't know anything about football. I loved it until Jordan joined the podcast. Well, listen, I ain't going anywhere. All right.
Oh yeah, about that.
I've got my old reading glasses on for it. I did. I absolutely love what I was reading. I thought I'm going to get my glasses on and go through this. It was the best half hour I've ever had, like, over my coffee.
Leo with some popcorn.
My final point
it was brilliant.
My final point was it was flagged to me that I often cut off Lee and James a lot. So that I accept, and I will do my best to not interrupt you guys talking, because I that was flagged to me, which I think was the one bit of sense that was spoken. So for that, I apologize.
No, don't worry, man. We'll tell you.
Don't worry about that.
I didn't even notice that, but if you did, then
I did, and it was me that commented it.
We all know Lee's burner account now.
Yeah. Yeah. Luke judges.
My mum to write in. Will you tell that Jordan to stop coming over me and James, please? It's getting on my nerves now, Mum. You know what I mean? Like, she said, "Right, I'm in there.
He never shuts up.
All right, cool.
Anyone else got any housekeeping to do? Anything we want to, Lee? Anything you want to address?
Oh, I'm as happy as Larry. I'll tell you, like,
well, I've addressed the intros and what actually makes me laugh. Jordan's addressed what he's had to address.
They're idiots.
Anything for you, Lee?
No, I'm very, very happy. I think everything's going really well. The podcast is looking like it's going to be a success on YouTube. I can't, be more than happy with what's happening.
Should we talk about football?
Yeah, let's get into it. Obviously, we've got a game coming up.
Zinchenko in midfield. What are we thinking?
Don't get him started again. Maybe later on in the show. But we have got football to talk about. Before we get into the game, because, there is a game against Bournemouth coming up this Saturday afternoon, 5:30 kickoff. And it's another big one. Every single game in the Premier League is a big one, especially when you're hoping to challenge for at least a top 4 position. At least. I know at the moment we're top of the league and a lot of people are having fun with that on Twitter. But yeah, at least the top 4 position. I want to ask about a couple players first, because it's still the transfer window as well. And there's been a couple rumoured players that headed out the door. One probably surprise name has come up in the last couple of days. Surprised because he hasn't really been linked with a move all summer. He not so much a surprise in the sense that we all probably agree that it's time to move him on. But Nicolas Pepe, apparently Nice are very interested. I'm not sure how credible it all is. Maybe James can help me out there. But is it rumoured to be a 15 million fee or something along those lines, or is it just a loan?
It's been kind of thrown around by a few journos. None of the ones that listen. I respect everyone in their line of work and all their sources, but not the ones I consider the closest to Arsenal in terms of the most trustworthy. I haven't really seen any of them pick it up yet. But I'm hearing everything I'm reading is loan. Hearing every time you say I'm hearing, it sounds like you got your own sources. I'm reading loan, and I think it probably will be, because I just don't know who's willing to. What would Arsenal want? They'd want 20 to 25. Who's paying that? That they'll need to see something for a year, and hopefully he does like 30% of what Saliba did on loan, and people kind of realise that actually there's some real talent there and are willing to pick him up. That might be the best option.
Is there some real talent there? Because let's talk about Nicolas Pepe for a sec, because it does seem like, his time might be coming to an end here. Whether it does come to an end this summer, it's going to come to an end in poor fashion in terms of coming into the club, biggest transfer fee, exciting young player. Apparently we fought off a couple good teams for his signature, and it just hasn't worked out well. And majority of the time I've tried to defend him. I've tried to say he hasn't, been given consistent game time, 5-10 Premier League games in a row. But even for me, enough is enough with him now. I do think it is time to move him on. But like James said, it's hard to really command the fee at the moment. But with 2 years left, letting him go to 1 year, it'll be hard to command the fee then as well. So, Jordan, let me ask you about Pepe.
I've never been... Go on.
What happened?
I don't know, I don't know. I think he's someone that maybe needed to get off to a good start. To really have a good Arsenal career, and I think he might have come at a time where we wasn't. I think if we sign Pepe this summer, I think he has a better Arsenal career. But I think he came at a time when we was a little bit all over the place. There was a lot of pressure on him. I was never really convinced by Pepe. I must admit, though, of him and Zaha at the time, I won't lie, I was more inclined to sign him than Zaha. Much of the fan base were kind of going by the. Yeah, but much of the fan base was saying, no, go for Zaha because he's Premier League proven. I don't often but Premier League proven. There's lots of Premier League proven players that get signed and flop. I don't buy this idea that just because someone's from another league, they can't hit the ground running here. But so I was in favour of signing him because I'd seen a little bit of him before he came to Arsenal. I thought exciting. Some top teams were in for him. I think Liverpool were in for him. Napoli were in for him. So I thought, okay, there's some credible top teams are in for him. And when we got him, great. But it became very clear to me very quickly that this guy he's not the guy. And as you said, lots of Arsenal fans are making excuses for him. He needs a run. He needs this. He needs that. In the cameos that he played, and he had a couple of good cameos, but they weren't enough for me ever to think as a fan, he should be starting the next game. So yeah, I think try and move him on, cut your losses, try and get 15, 20 mil for him and invest that in another player. But I can't see him now kicking on and getting better. I think he's hit a low that I think will be difficult to recover from.
You know what's funny about... sorry, carry on.
No, go on, James, go on.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, we paid 72 million for him, right? So if you're throwing that word flop around, he would fit in that category. But something weird about Pepe in his time at Arsenal, where despite it, I actually think he comes out with a little bit of credibility. I don't know what it is. Like, if you looked at his highlight reel at Arsenal, it'd probably still be really impressive. You probably think he looks a really good player. Like, if you hadn't seen his 3 years at Arsenal, someone showed you this guy. Or when we signed him, someone then showed you his highlight reel, saying, this is what he'll be like in 3 years. This is what he'll have done. You probably go, wow, there's some great goals in there. He's won an FA Cup, started that final. He's kind of, I mean, really, it's the goals. It's some of the skill has not always come off, but he's always been, I think he's one of the best finishers at the club, Like, just raw in front of goal. I think he's one of the most clinical players we've got. But that's not what Arteta demands from his wingers. He wants them wide. He doesn't really want them closer to goal in the way, say, Mo Salah gets really close to goal, right? So I do think there is a lot of truth in this idea that the way we've used him and the transition we've gone through, and, remember, he arrived when Emery was here. He's been around at a very difficult time for Arsenal. But at the same time, I don't think he's made the most of his opportunities. But as I said, there's something there. There really is. It's just not worked with us. So in the same way you can look at other players who maybe haven't been around as long, that have cost that much money, you couldn't put together a highlight reel for them necessarily. I'm talking forwards. Like Lukaku's highlight reel at Chelsea. Okay, he's only been there a year. Or Sancho's at Man United. I think Sancho is a very good player and will probably prove to be. But I think Pepe did more in his first season despite everything. So it's a weird one. What do you think, Lee?
Weird. I'm with you on that. I don't understand it when I look at it and feel that there's players that have had more opportunities. And I mean, like, so I'm not saying in the same position, but like Eddie, for instance, has been given opportunity after opportunity to make the grade at Arsenal, and he has given him an opportunity, and he has sort of took it. I look at someone like Ben White, who's now being pushed out of central defence. Well, I try and fit him into my team somewhere. I put him in the right back. There was the opportunity to put in Pepe down the middle. He never used that option, kept him on the bench. I just think it comes down to, and it's happened before with lots of players and all that, Mikel Arteta just didn't fancy him. Just for whatever reason, that was it. I remember he had a good season after the FA Cup. So had a good end of the season in the FA Cup run. Thought he might kick on there, but the club went and signed Willian and replaced him with Willian. That tells you about everything you need to know. And I think that even come Saturday was a very, very... If I was Pepe on Saturday, I would have been on my phone to my agent and saying, right, I need to get out of here now. And I'll tell you why, because he's been participating in all of the pre-season games, or been a part of it and all that. Smith Rowe's hardly featured in any pre-season. When it comes to bringing on a substitute, on comes Smith Rowe in front of him, and he didn't get no game time again. That is enough to tell me that I'm not wanted at this football club. And that for me is why I think that he's got to get out. He's got to get. I don't know. Are the Ivory Coast in the World Cup or not? I don't know if they are or not. But even if they're not, it's just now. For me, I would want to be getting out of Arsenal Football Club as quickly as possible, because there's just no way he's rated by the manager for whatever reason. That is something that Mikel will have to pick up, because it's again another big money signing that we're getting nothing back on. Like, you know, and we've made some massive mistakes in the transfer market over the last few years on things like this. But I do think there's a player in there. I know, like, I think there's a fantastic player in Ben White, but there's not saying to Ben White, okay, right, you're out of it now. I'll try and find you a right back position, or try and find you a place in the team. He's never ever done that with Pepe. He's never actually, in fact, put him on the left to try and see if he could do that. It's always been on the right, when realistically the best player in the club over the last 2 years has been Saka. So it's made it even more difficult for him to get in. I just feel that I can actually see, you know, when he scored that goal against Wolves, that Mikel are going, oh no, I might have to play him next game, like, you know what I mean? So I don't know. It just seems very, very strange and baffling. Yeah, I do think a little bit baffling as well. But listen, he's done now. He's done now. After what I see Saturday, he's done.
I'm always fascinated by talented players. Although I've never really rated him, he's not crap. He's not a bad player. But I'm always fascinated by players that are not crap, but just don't get a look in. And James makes the rightful point that, you know, Arteta's just not having him, hasn't fancied him, hasn't played him. And that's the manager's right. But even Emre didn't really play him a lot. When you think about it, Emre signed him. And even he didn't really play him. So it's saying to me, what's happening in training that is making two managers now think, despite your record signing, and he's not even, Lee's right, he's not even come off the bench. That says there's something that you're not understanding about the tactics, or, you know, they think, oh, actually, you're not that good. There's something going on there. So I just think move him on. It hasn't worked out. Again, as Lee mentions, I thought at one point, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, that Arteta might try and retrain him as a forward, because there was a time when we were desperate for a forward. I think Aubameyang was out, Lacazette was injured. I mean, we didn't have any sort of strikers, and we floated the idea, I think, on this podcast about trying through the middle, but he didn't even try that. So it hasn't worked out. His record actually isn't awful.
It's really not.
It's not great. It's far from good, but it's not like he scored some goals and some assists. If you look at overall, it's not awful, but it's just not worked out. And I think it's time to move him on as quickly as possible.
You know, if I'm remembering right, he's got assists in the FA Cup semi-final against Man City, goals against Man United, goals in the Europa League, albeit it was behind closed doors. Remember when we needed that win away at Slavia Prague, I think. You know, he chipped in there, and he had a run on the left that was very decent. He came on against Wolves and completely changed the game for us. He really did. So he really has had moments where he showed his quality. There's no doubt about that. It's just not a fit. Like, football, so more than ever, is about systems and how many times do we hear, well, the manager needs his players? So we're Ten Hag right now, Arteta in the last year or two. He needs his players, and he's not an Arteta player. So I'm actually surprised it's gone this long without him, you know, getting and seeking a move elsewhere. Maybe he really wants to make it happen at Arsenal, but he's too and I think this is part of what makes him so good at times. He's too erratic. He's too unpredictable, a bit all over the place, which I think can make him great. Remember the last couple games of the pandemic season, the one that was all behind closed doors. He ended that season brilliantly, really well. Scored like 5 goals in the last 3 games.
Great goal against Crystal Palace, didn't he? I remember that. Yeah,
a couple great ones against Brighton. You know, and we thought, okay, he's unlocked it now. He's arrived. Start of the season.
It's funny how nobody from the Premier League is coming from it. Even like a Southampton or Brighton. No one's, because I think potentially at that level, James mentions the words erratic and unpredictable. There's no reason why he can't be the St. Maximin for Southampton. There's no reason why he can't be that player at that level. Do you know what I mean? A Brighton or a team that's going to be kind of between, I don't know, 9th, 10th and 15th. Yeah. He could be that player for that kind of team. So no Premier League coming in for him. Just to me, either his wages are just are insanely high, or they've also just sniffed something about him that's like, we're not sure about him either.
And no one, not even in Europe, I haven't had many teams really been linked to him in the last, couple months and couple years. But it is what it is. It hasn't worked out, and in the next few weeks he might sort it out. But if it does happen,
do you think it opens up space for a winger?
Yeah,
if it goes.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, because obviously there's not solid links. Just a lot of people talking, a lot of Arsenal fans talking about Pedro Neto. We've been kind of linked with him. Like I said, no solid links. But what does everyone think about him? Which obviously will take him.
Good player. Good player. I don't think we need him, but I think he's a good player. Really good player.
Yeah, it'll be a good addition.
Well, we need to get something. We need to get something if we do it. Like, I'm still, I'd still go for Zaha. I'd still, a year left of his contract. Very, very impressed with his performance at Crystal Palace. But I just don't think he fits the sort of player profile of what Arsenal are looking for now. I think if they do sign someone, it'd be in their mid-20s at the max.
But Lee, if you're Emile Smith Rowe and you see the club let Pepe go and then sign another winger, how are you feeling? Because I still can't work out where Emile Smith Rowe plays.
Well, I don't know. I think Smith Rowe's more down the left. I think that's a very, very good point. What is going to happen with Smith Rowe? I think that excuse me, he was key to us a couple of seasons ago, and even last season. I'm a big fan of his, but one thing he's got to do is stay fit. I think he played tonight, didn't he, in the under 23s? Yeah. I don't know how he got on, but
and Vieira started on the right in that game.
So Vieira started on the right, so that tells you a little bit. I don't really know about Smith Rowe. That's a very, very good question. What's going to happen with him? I think that he's got a difficult job, if I'll be honest now, of replacing Martinelli in that left-hand side. The good thing about this season is there's more games, so that they could play Europa League or they can rotate a little bit more. This is the key now. I think that Arsenal also with Smith Rowe, I've got to say, his goals is very, very important. He scores few goals, so I don't really see what's going to happen with Mark.
Options are good as long as you can keep them happy. Options are good.
Yeah.
I think he's fine for his Arsenal career because I don't see an obvious place for to put him in. I think where he is good, there's competition that's doing better than him. I think where his best position is, that's not where as in the whole number 10. Our manager doesn't really play a number 10. Doesn't really play an old school number 10. So I wouldn't be surprised if this time next year Smith Rowe's at another club. Not because he's not good enough, but there's just where does he play?
I'm not worried about.
And I think he can play. I think he can start for at least 10 Premier League clubs. So I just think that if he doesn't break in this season and make an impression, I wouldn't be surprised if we take 30 million for him and move him on next summer.
I'm not worried about Smith Rowe at all, because while I hear what you're saying, like there'll be like a hunger for him to play, and there's going to be this by the fans. There's going to be, we've not seen Smith Rowe, all this. Even when Saka and Smith Rowe were firing, there was questions over Martinelli, weren't there? And now look at him. I just think he signed a new deal only last summer. He's wearing the number 10 shirt. He's played more football than I think he expected to at this point. He's still very young, and he also had injury problems in the academy. So actually to kind of come through that bit and then play as many games and as many important games for the first team as he has might have surprised him. And in a weird way, listen, I'm never going to sit here and say that having Europa League football is better than having Champions League football, obviously. But if you're going to scrape the bottom of the jar, as I've said many times, for any positives, it's that there is opportunity for squad depth to not have to worry and not have to be stressed about game time, because we're not going to be going into Wednesday night against Real Madrid and PSG thinking that first 11 have to be out there. There's an opportunity for Smith Rowe to play all 6 of those games, plus 20 to 30 minutes off the bench in the league, plus some Carabao Cup appearances, plus you want to rest and alternate Martinelli or Saka. I think he'll be fine. I really think he'll get like 35 appearances across the season. And more than anything, he needs to, for Arsenal's sake, because obviously that's what we care about more than anything, it allows us not to rush him back, because these niggly injuries are a slight concern to me. He had them when he was younger, he's having them now. So the fact that we can just sort of slowly bring him back in is a good thing, and not feel like we've got to chuck him in because otherwise Willian starts.
I think rotation and being happy in that role might be his role, to answer your question, Jordan. An option off the bench, you know. So,
but you're not wrong there. But then Vieira's not going to be on the bench for long. He'll be coming off the bench as an option. On the left, is he playing understudy to Martinelli? If that's the case, then fine. But I'm just not convinced that when Martinelli comes off, he's going to always be the go-to. In the Europa League, as James mentioned, are we confident that Smith Rowe is our starting left winger in that competition? If that's the case, then great, cool, no problem. But I'm just not convinced that that's the case.
What do we want Arsenal to do, right? We want Arsenal to, and this squad, to grow and win trophies and challenge for the Premier League title. And I remember Sir Alex Ferguson used to do it. And correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like Pep does a bit of this as well. He gives players like a run of like 10 to 15 games. Like, you won't see Mahrez for ages, and then suddenly Mahrez starts every week. And I don't know if City's a good example, but I definitely remember it at Man United. Like, you wouldn't see Nani. You'd be like, oh, he's a Berbatov. You wouldn't see them. And then suddenly, bam, you're in the team 10 games in a row. I almost feel like if Arteta can manage the squad right and say, give me everything to November, and then you're going to be out of the team a little bit, you're going to be coming off the bench, and then the focus goes up, because the intensity to compete to that level, especially in this age of high press and players need to be able to do everything on a pitch, you know, I think that could work for him. You know, you're a bit part player till November, and then boom, we're going to see a lot of you.
And you know what I forgot? You know what I forgot as well? The World Cup. He ain't going to the World Cup, and that could be a blessing. So when Saka and Martinelli, who will go to the World Cup, come back from the World Cup, that's where Smith Rowe can maybe be the guy that, as those guys come back into kind of fitness and back into the routine of the Premier League, Smith Rowe could play those cup games. And do you know what I mean? So that's where maybe Smith Rowe can kind of keep an eye.
Was in the reckoning a little while. Like, it was in the England squad and all
he won't be going to Qatar.
No. I totally agree. Unless he comes in the side and starts playing really, really well. But he forced his way into the squad last season, and then I think got injured, didn't he? I think got injured on England duty. I think that's where all those problems are started from. So
unfortunate, but yeah. Listen, options is a good thing, you know.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago that we was, you know, wondering where our next asset was going to come from. So, you know, it's good to have.
Maybe he could go in goal because he's got a good touch.
See, Lee's going to make me swear on the internet, and I don't want to swear on the internet. Yeah, but please, you're pushing me, Lee. You're pushing me.
Well done, Lee Judges.
I was gonna mention Vieira started for the under-23s, but I think James got in there first. On that thought, obviously we got Bournemouth this Saturday, 5:30 kickoff. A couple players back in contention, back in training. Do we change the lineup considering we won the first couple of games?
Is Ben White fit? Has anybody seen him training, or because he came off with an injury, didn't he?
No indication that he's not fit, as far as I'm aware.
I'm sure.
Same team for me then. Same team.
James.
Yep, same for me.
Jordan.
Tomiyasu came on, but this one might be slightly too early. So yeah, I'll probably go same team as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably agree. If Tomiyasu does come back in, is the centre back pairings Gabriel and Saliba still based off what we've seen the first couple of games? Yeah,
it's for me.
Lee.
Yeah, it's for me. Yeah, I as I say, at this moment in time, I don't think Ben White deserves to be left out. I think he's done okay at right back. I think he's been as good as anybody else. If I'll be honest, I think that because everybody loves Tomiyasu, let's get him back in, and I get that. But ultimately, I think he's done okay, Ben White. I don't really see why people are pushing for him to be outside at this moment in time. When I look at Zaha's performance on Monday night, he seemed to have a lot of the ball against Liverpool. Didn't get that much against the Arsenal. So, I think Ben White done a good job on him.
Yeah.
He was very serious there.
Yeah, it was.
How are you feeling about the game, though? Like, well, is it a formality? Is it, do we need to keep our guard up? Are we worried? Are we nervous? Are we excited, Jordan?
Excited. I'm excited. We're in, 2 good games, 2 good performances overall. I think we need to treat it without arrogance and complacency, because these are the sort of games where I won't talk for the fan base, but I may be like, yeah, we should win this game. And it's Bournemouth. What's the problem? And then we draw or even lose, and it's like, okay, that's the Arsenal arrogance creeping in. So I don't want to be cocky about this, but I think if the aspirations are finishing in the top 4, let's be honest, these are the games you need to go and get 3 points, not a point. It's not a draw thing for me. It's go and find a way to win the game. This is the sort of game actually where I will accept a slightly less superior performance and get 3 points. There'll be some games coming up where I'm looking for a performance and a win. This one, go there, 3 out of 3, come back and as you were. So I don't want to be arrogant about this and take any game for granted, because we've done that before and we get slapped. But I think we need to adopt an attitude that I think City have, Liverpool have. These are the games that on a fixture list you kind of mark off as that should be a win. If this is not a win, then are we a top 4 team? Spurs went to Chelsea, played awful, but managed to get a point out of that. This is what you got to do to get in the top 4. So for me, it's not a formality, of course not. But I'd be angry if we didn't win this game.
James, see much of Bournemouth? Obviously, a big win for them in the first game week, but then brought down to earth by Man City. But Man City bring a lot of teams down to earth, so I can't really take much from that. What's your thoughts on it?
I'm unbelievably unprepped in terms of knowing a lot about Bournemouth. I know a bit about Scott Parker. He's done well. He's got 2 sides promoted. Didn't really quite work for him and Fulham when they're in the Premier League, but he.
It's not like you to be unprepped. Sorry to cut you. Is that because you're laid back about this game?
No, it's because I've been busy.
Usually you're busy prepping though. So what
I know. I can never put the numbers
James, sort
down.
it out, man. Bloody hell.
Look, I've seen
bloody week.
I've seen the highlight. I've seen the highlights. You can't take anything from the City game. They do what they do to teams. They beat Villa, which is impressive, because I think Villa showed in the Everton game that they're no mugs either. And they got a good home win against them from set pieces. They got Kiefer Moore up front. I don't know if he starts every week in, week out for them. I think he does, and he's a handful up front. He really is. So already that's another physical battle that is going to Saliba and Gabriel gonna have to deal with. And Scott Parker as a manager has always been one who wants to have the ball and play. So you hope that it's one of those where they think, let's go punch for punch. That's our style, and Arsenal go, cool, our punch is bigger than yours. But you never know. I've had a bit of an epiphany, which is that I think I hate football. And what I mean by that is, you ask if I'm excited. Well, when we're in terrible form, I'm not excited because I'm worried we'll lose. When we're in good form or great form, I'm nervous because there's an expectation now. Either way, I'm on edge about it. Which I guess shows you care. So I think Arsenal will get it done.
Yeah, Lee, you're obviously going to Bournemouth. Good, nice.
No, I'm not actually going to Bournemouth, no. No, I'm one.
What am I saying? You did actually tell me just before the stream.
Yeah, I'm away, and 2, I couldn't get a ticket for this one. So
you went on holiday.
Yeah, so I decided I couldn't get a ticket, so I thought I'd jet away, So now listen, when the fixtures come out, Aston Villa versus Bournemouth, I thought, well, Aston Villa will win that. They didn't, but I thought that Aston Villa would. So when Arsenal go in there, I only expect one outcome. I expect Arsenal to win and win convincingly. I'm not with you guys at this moment. I think that I see the first 2 games. I tipped us to win them because I've seen something different in the Arsenal this year. These 3 games coming up now will tell me all I need to know about Mikel Arteta and if Arsenal are ready to challenge for top 4, because these 3 are now, I think, games that we are expected to win. We're expected to go to Bournemouth and get a result. We're expected to beat Fulham and Everton at home. People wouldn't have expected us to have beaten Crystal Palace and maybe took a point. But I know a lot of people tipped that, but I felt that we'd go to Crystal Palace and get the job done. So if we can do it at Crystal Palace, which is a lot harder than Bournemouth, I expect us to get the job done at Bournemouth. I expect us to win and win comfortably, because I think that we've got good players now. I think they will cause us a few problems, but if Bournemouth's front three or forwards can cause us a few problems, I'm pretty sure our front three can cause problems for them. And I just think that our front two, because probably 2 out of the 3 will click, will be too much for Bournemouth.
I heard James.
Yeah, go on. No, what are you going to ask?
I heard James talking on AFTV live earlier. I don't know whether it was you or Sharoy, but one of you said that you like the 4-2 result rather than a 2-0 result against Leicester and when you said that, I thought to myself, I don't know. I want us to get some clean sheets under our belt. I want us to become a bit more solid. But maybe you want to elaborate on what you meant by that, and Jordan and Lee as well, their thoughts.
I just think Arsenal, the last couple of years, have been so shy when it comes to, getting those numbers in terms of goals. I mean, even at our lowest, it wasn't our lowest, but even as we were drifting away from winning titles and all that, and we were getting top 4, which we'd take now, wouldn't we? We were scoring so many goals and playing such great football, and I just need Arsenal to entertain. And it's not just because I want to see goals and I want to be celebrating and life's great. It's also because goals send a message to any team you're playing that you're not safe. And I just think when Leicester pulled those 2 goals back, we hit them immediately with 2 goals. They must have been like, we've already been let off the hook with these 4 other chances, but they've still scored 4 others. And it must have been a nightmare for them because, they want to commit, but they can't really. And I just think, I'd like to think that would sit in Bournemouth's mind. Like, we can go at them, but we've got to be a little bit careful. And I think there were moments last season, Newcastle being a great example of it, Palace as well. We lost 2-0 at Newcastle, 3-0 at Palace. And they pressed us, or they suffocated us, or they went at us because they weren't that worried about what we were going to do the other end. The teams that we beat were actually the ones that really let us play. Were the ones like Watford and kind of Wolves and Leicester, who at first were like, all right, well, it's Arsenal, let's and we ended up bagging away wins for that. So, I like that there's a different dimension to this team. I like that if you want to come punch for punch, all right, cool, Martinez and Jesus might be released in behind and bam, we might hit you on the counter. And what's funny is the Sevilla game, we were 4-0 up inside 20 minutes or whatever. And the Leicester game, we had less possession in the first 20 minutes of that Sevilla game. We were 4-0 up and less possession than Leicester throughout the whole game. We had way more chances. Yeah. So I like that Arsenal have added that dimension personally.
Now you've elaborated on it. I agree with you, but I do think there's a strong case for both, and you need both to challenge for titles. So Jordan and Lee, I don't know if both's going to happen at the same time because that would be perfect. But what are you looking for next from Arsenal? Is it some attacking fluidity that brings chances and goals galore and entertainment, or is it some defensive solidity that brings a calmness?
I think it's more important. I'm going to be honest. If you keep clean sheets away from home, I think that because what that means is that you've got a tight formation. You're not going to give away too much, and you're going to hit teams on the break. When I think you play at home, sometimes you have to be like Arsenal were. They opened up a little bit more, so you will get given a couple of chances, but you're creating more. You're creating more chances, and that when we were away from home, we didn't create many chances against Crystal Palace, but we had enough. And but ultimately kept the clean sheet, and then you go and get the result. And I think that will tell you, man. I'm going to be honest. You know what I mean? I see what they're saying with a 2-0 or like 4-0 is a statement. A 4-2 is not a statement as far as I'm concerned. And I'll be really honest with that. Like Manchester City, that's a statement. 4-0 at home, 2-0 away from home. That's a statement. That's a statement that they're going to be around for all that. I think 4-2 doesn't necessarily punch that, but what I want to see from Arsenal over these next 3 games is 3 clean sheets. That's what I want, because these 3 teams that we're going to be playing are going to be bottom half to middle. So we've got to be ruthless. I'm not saying we're going to go to Bournemouth and win 3-0, 4-0, but I'm looking at a clean sheet there, and definitely in those 2 league games at home, efficiency. I want to see like Arsenal being efficient in these next 3 games. flamboyant if we can be, yeah. But I think it's, we need to really show a little bit of our mettle in these next few games. And I think that 2 games gone, 2 goals conceded. I'd rather be like 1 goal conceded. And so this after say 5 games now, conceded 2 goals. That's a statement.
I saw the fan cam. I think it was Robbie and who was it with? It was I've forgotten who it was with anyway. Where they were debating, is it a statement win? And Robbie was saying, is a statement. It's not a statement.
Julian,
Julian. That's right. It was Julian. That's right. 4-2 is not a statement win. It's a 2-goal. It's a 2-goal difference.
Yeah.
If 4-2 is a statement win, then 2-0 is a statement win, and 2-0 is not. It's a 2-goal difference. 4-0 is a statement win. No one's scared of a team that's won 4-2. That's not a statement. It's a good win. So I didn't agree with Robbie and Julian on that at all. Where I lean towards Lee on this one is I'm a boring old fart as well. Give me clean sheets. And I think where I disagree with James and Sharoy, who said that they were more impressed with the 4-2, was that I'm looking for the differences and to come from 5th to 4th. And that's why we discussed and debated about Zinchenko. Player-wise, my point was I don't see Zinchenko being a difference maker from 5th to 4th. He improves the squad, but is he a difference maker? Tactics, scoreline, strategies. I'm looking for the difference makers that take us from 5th to 4th. And for me, winning those points at places like Selhurst Park are going to be the difference makers. 4-2 at home to Leicester, I'll be honest, I expect that. We should be beating Leicester at home. Maybe not scoring 4 goals, but I expect us to beat the majority of teams at the Emirates. That should be happening. What makes a difference for me is the away performances where you pick up a point here, a point there, and as in Palace's case, we got all 3 points. That for me is the difference. If we get a point at Selhurst Park last year, we could be top 4. So I'm looking at those incremental differences that take us from 5th to 4th, and that's why for me the Palace win was more impressive than the Leicester win.
It's really interesting you say that because Palace beat us 3-0, and the obvious thing is that they scored 3 and we scored none. But it's so interesting the way football could be looked at because there's no right or wrong answer really. I partly think the reason we're on the end of some of those beatings is because a lot of those teams don't think we've got anything going the other end.
I hear that. Yeah. And I take your point as well about the threat of having that much firepower when teams play Arsenal, especially the Emirates, knowing bloody hell, Jesus, Saka, Martinelli, Emile Smith-Rowe, Vieira, Odegaard. They've got so many guns. It's going to be a long day for us. That's important. That is important. But for me, I'm looking at how do we get from 5th to 4th, 5th to 3rd. And I think those points here and there at those grounds where we don't do well, that's the difference.
What were you going to add, Turkish?
When Liam said he wants a clean sheet in the next 3 games, I said to myself, yes, 100%, that's what I want. Then I asked myself, would I take 3 1-0s in the next 3 games, or would I take 3 4-1 wins in the next 3 games? And then I said to myself, well, I'll probably take the 4-1 wins because it's been that's how.
That's a big difference, Turk.
I know, but listen, I asked the question: do you want more goals and excitement, or do you want a solid defense and more resolute? So I guess it's not a fair question. 1-0 and 4-1.
I know. Okay, 1-0 or 4-2s.
4-2s any day. Give me goals.
I'll take the 1-0 in that.
I'm taking the 1-0.
Oh, I want goals.
I'm taking the 1-0s.
My last pitch on this. when Klopp, albeit did in far less time, did build a Liverpool side that could get into the Champions League, the first thing he did was add goals. That was a team that at times lost 4-3 at Bournemouth, funnily enough. Let's hope history doesn't repeat itself.
If you've jinxed us now, James.
Imagine that. Imagine I've gone but they were if anything, I've jinxed it our way by mentioning it. Anyway, they were a team that would sometimes lose 4-3, but they win so many games 5-0, 4-0, 3-1, whatever, because they had goals in them. That was firepower to get them into the Champions League. And then when it was about becoming title challengers, boom, Fabinho, Van Dijk, Alisson were good. And in a weird way, Arteta's kind of gone the other way around because he's gone and actually spent most of his money on the back 4 and the spine and the base. Partey, Gabriel, White, Ramsdale, Tomiyasu, all his signings. Having said that, I actually think, again, I've said it already, but if we're to get into the Champions League, I honestly think it's more about adding goals than it is cutting down how many we conceded last season. We need to do both. We do. But if you offered me 15 less goals conceded or 15 more scored, I'd take the 15 more scored personally.
Can I ask a question? You know, when like if Arsenal concede, if Arsenal win, say 4-2 in the next couple of games, 4-2, 4-2, 4-2, you're conceding goals, and I look at that and I think, like with Liverpool, while they was conceding goals, it stood out like a sore thumb that they needed a central defender and a goalkeeper. What would you look to change at Arsenal? I think we've got good players in all positions now. So why are they conceding those goals? That's why I think it's important now with the back four that we've got, or the back players that we've got to keep clean sheets, because I don't think we're going to improve it by personnel. So it would be like system or something that's not quite right. So I think it's important that we do get a couple of clean sheets in these next 3 games, because if you're conceding goals to Fulham, Bournemouth, Villa, what's going to happen when you're taking on Manchester City, Liverpool, and Spurs? That's my problem with that. So I think we need to get clean sheets to say that, you know. Although
sorry to cut, although James makes his point is fair in the sense that we're not trying to win a league. We're trying to get top 4. So even if you lose to City, Spurs, and Liverpool, but you batter everybody else 4-2, you get top 4. The problem is that we wasn't battering everybody else. We lost to Palace and Brighton.
If we are to challenge for the league, then right, where would you look to change the back 4? I don't think there's much you would look to. I'm very, very happy with our central defenders. Very, very happy with our fullbacks. So where would you look to get a championship winning defence?
You know why we're happy with them. You know why we're happy with them.
Gabriel, maybe.
It's at least, maybe I'm speaking for me then. These set of defenders we've got, and a lot of the squad I'm really happy with, not because I think right now they're good enough to challenge for the title, because I see a potential that in 2-3 years they really could. So maybe less, hopefully less. So like, does Gabriel start or does Saliba start for City or Liverpool? Not today, but I really think in like a couple of years we might.
Yeah, they would do. I'll get what you're saying.
So it's like, yes, we would. Yes, they could be improved on, but we wouldn't go and spend that money because we know what they could become. So it's a tricky one. You'd hope they grow into it. You hope they will grow into their potential. I just think we need to establish ourselves as a problem. Villa battered Tottenham at home last year, battered them for possession, shots, everything. They lost the game 4-0 because Kane and Son killed them.
That's true.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I need Arsenal to be like that again.
That's true.
I need Arsenal to
That's a great point.
Like, to play against.
Yeah, well, we talked a lot about clean sheets. We've talked a lot about big wins. So it's time for the predictions now to wrap it up. Let me bring the prediction table up just to remind people what it's looking like after game week 2. James and Lee at the top, 4 points apiece, separated by the first letter in their names. And Jordan's in 3rd, I'm in 4th, 2 apiece, again, separated by the first letter in our names. It's still all to play for. We start at the top of the table. So, James, over to you, my friend.
Hang on, sorry, before we start, the alphabetical thing is actually fair. But I'm thinking of you, Turkish, because if on the last game of the season, I'm winning
on points, mate. It's not coming down to the alphabet.
I'll say if it's like this and it goes like that, his real bloody name, wouldn't he? Like, I mean, that's what he'll do.
You know,
funnily enough, that begins with T as well, Lee. So I'm fucked.
As it's early, I could picture this quite early because we still go back over them and check. We could have a goal difference. So for example, you get a point for each amount of goals scored you got correct. So for example, if I thought Arsenal would win 3-2 and Lee thought they'd win 2-1, I would get a +1 goal difference because I correctly predicted that Leicester would get 2 goals. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I am, but I think that's one for next season.
Yeah.
What are you worried about? I don't even know why you're worried about it because I'll romp home in the end anyway. So let's just get on with it. Like,
all right, one season wonder. James, go
on. One season wonder.
He's calling you Leicester City.
I actually lost it on predictions scored in the first year. Right, you predicted like And then I romped home last season.
Romped home in the last 2 game weeks.
Oh, I forgot we have the whole predictions thing. Yeah, there's plenty to differentiate everyone.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Go on, James.
Sorry, just a little reminder that Jordan's yet to predict a single score.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Like, we're worried about it.
This is match day 41 of him playing this game.
Yeah, and we're worried about him. We're worried about alphabetical. We're worried that he's got the name Jay. We're worried about it. Like, you know what I mean? Personally, I couldn't give a damn, right? When even though he comes before me, like, you know. Anyway, I'm changing my name to Adam after this week.
The artist formerly known as.
I think a nervy 2-1 win. We might have to come from behind in this one.
2-1 away win. Nervy one. Adam?
2-0.
He knows it already. 2-0. Adam Judges in the building. Jordan?
4-2 Arsenal.
Cool.
He would hate that result. Oh, not a
Ramsdale hat-trick.
I'm going 3-1 again. One of them got hit. Everyone's gone for a different score, people. Just to run through it, James has gone 2-1 Arsenal. Lee's gone 2-0 Arsenal. Jordan's gone 4-2 Arsenal. And I've gone 3-1. So obviously, we'll all get a point of Arsenal win. But what score will it be? Let us know in the comment section below as well. As usual, people, hit the like button as well as usual, people. We'll be back again some point after the Bournemouth game. Sunday it'll be out. Put the notification bell on and you'll know exactly when that is. Jordan, Lee, James, any last minute thoughts?
Come on, the Arsenal. Get it done.
Yeah, massive weekend again.
Yeah.
But looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Under the radar. Let's just go under the radar. Man United are playing Liverpool on, I think it's Monday. Let that be the story on Monday. Let's just go under the radar. Just tick along, win our games, and let's mind our own business.
Move in silence. Move
Yeah,
in
man.
silence, please.
I like that. Move in silence.
Please. It's hard to do it with our Twitter fan base, but I'm going to try to over here anyway. I'm going to try to. All right, people.
Yeah.
Love for the love. Hope you guys have enjoyed another Fourever Arsenal. Like I said, use the comment section, hit the like button, subscribe, put the notification bell on, and we are back Sunday. Tune in then, people. Love for the love.